condemnable what he'd done. People thought of suicide as a crime, not as the poor guy had mental health problems or whatever it was. And so it was so bad that they wouldn't even let him into the church.
Yes.
That famous picture he painted in Orvay, they wouldn't let him in the church to be buried, or even in the churchyard. He had to be buried in sort of some other plot.
In the wheat field.
Yeah. So, initially, absolutely no posthumous popularity. And when I say initially, I mean for the next easily 2 decades. And then a lot of what followed was thanks to his brother's wife. And of course, his brother also died.
Yes.
And it was basically the letters between both of them, hundreds and hundreds of letters that she put together. And she'd previously been a teacher, I think even an English teacher. And she was one of those sort of academic, studious people who would be able to sit all of this and collect it and put it together. And she put the book together, and then the book over time became more popular, and then the Second World War happened. And then the book was translated into English, into a book called Lust for Life. And then there was some popularity then. When the movie version starring Kirk Douglas came out, that's when he actually became popular. And he became popular in the West. He became popular in America. And he became popular almost in terms of the story based on the letters, and then the story and then the story was related to the art. And then people, through pictures, through cinema, people were seeing the story, the letters, the characters, and then the art. And within the context of the art, they thought, wow, this is such a beautiful, tragic story. And these paintings were part of it. And that was when his real legend, I guess, started. And the fact that it came about because of his letters, I think, is very interesting.
Yes. That's when Dr. Gachet's family decided to put out their pictures, and they became very wealthy.
Yeah, it's an irony that the most valuable Vincent Van Gogh picture is of Dr. Gachet. It's an irony.
And that's the one I don't like. I just...
there's another picture virtually identical to that picture that appears to be a fraud, and it's also a picture of Dr. Gachet. And, I've sort of recommended to readers that buy the Kindle version because there are hundreds and hundreds of links to news stories, documentaries, but especially the paintings. You can actually see the difference between the one Dr. Gachet painting and the other one. And for me, one thing that's very telling is in the one painting, his eyes are quite a light blue color. And I would imagine if you are forging your own picture, in other words, you're forging a picture of yourself, but it's you doing the forgery, then you're going to be particularly biased to something as personal, for example, as your eye color.
Yes.
So another artist might say, well, this is what your eyes look like. This is the shape of them. This is the reflection in them. The color I'm using is to convey a certain message or whatever. Whereas if it's you who's trying to sort of represent yourself, you're going to be, no, well, this is the actual color of my eyes. It's this color. And you'll notice there's a very clear difference between the eyes in the one and the other. And when you look at photos of Dr. Gachet, you can also see that he does seem to have light eyes. His eyes do seem to be sort of a light color. And if you take that same psychology further and you look at Vincent's own, you can call them selfies or self-portraits, his eye colors change as well. And I sort of went into a lot of detail in terms of when he cut his ear off, that his eyes suddenly turned green.
Yeah.
And what that meant.
Well, that's what I'd really like our listeners to know, that this is one time that I highly recommend the ebook of The Murder of Vincent Van Gogh, because you have links to everything. If you're referencing a painting or the difference between a painting, you have that link in there, and that was just amazing.
Well, if I may, before the end of this podcast, I'd like to play like a 1-minute clip from Simon Sharma's The Power of Art, and it just encapsulates a beautiful
definitely
sort of conclusion.
That would be great.
Something I mentioned to you earlier, just about the message that Van Gogh was trying to communicate through his art that's so different to all the other artists. Simon Sharma just expresses that so well. So I'll just play a short clip at the end just to illustrate that.
Very good. Now, you don't paint Paul Gauguin in a very pleasing light. Do you think Van Gogh would not have had the turmoil in his life if he hadn't had Paul Gauguin living with him?
I don't think I'm the only one who did that. I think if you just go and study the history of Gauguin, he was an oddball. I think there's a photo of him sitting by a piano without his trousers on.
Okay.
And you can forgive artists for being fruitcakes to a certain different. I mean, he did take Van Gogh in a different direction. The idea of painting out of your mind and painting symbolically and things like that, but that wasn't really what he wanted to do. Van Gogh wanted to sort of see the landscape as a living organism in a way, as reality infused with electricity and with life, and that was enough for him. Whereas Gauguin sort of had a more almost esoteric, exotic escapism in his art, where he wanted to be somewhere else, and it was very some kind of other world, and that's why he went to Tahiti. And there's an aspect to paradise that can be a nightmare, and in terms of him, he had a child bride of I think 13 years old. He abandoned his own family, and many of his own children died. So you have this sort of thing with Gauguin where he's on the one hand he's seen as very sophisticated and very, in a way, sort of more successful than Van Gogh at the time. But on the other hand, he's a jerk and he's a liar.
He was very jealous.
And he's a...
But I think they needed each other. There were aspects of each other's personality that they needed.
Well, I don't think you can tell the story of Van Gogh without the Yellow House and without Gauguin. So certainly that fired things up. But of course, I mean, within 2 years, Vincent was dead. Then you could also argue he would have died anyway.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mental illness it doesn't cure like that. Syphilitic, yeah, definitely.
Look, one of the things that I was at pains to emphasize in the book was Starry Night was painted while he was at that asylum. That painting that people regard as arguably his best.
I love that painting. That's my favorite.
Me too. I mean, it's a beautiful painting. And not only that, he wrote dozens and dozens of letters while he was at that asylum. Now, as a writer, I can tell you, when you're depressed or unhappy or in a bad mood or emotionally compromised, you can't write regularly and you certainly can't write coherently. And yet his letters throughout this mad period are incredibly coherent, incredibly consistent. And so, and he wasn't treated at that asylum like everybody else. He wasn't treated as certainly not more mad or as mad. He was treated like a little bit, going through a little bit of a difficult period. And he admitted himself into the asylum, and he basically, when he was ready to leave, he left. So the idea that he was this sort of mad guy just falling down the rabbit hole is a myth. It's a misconception.
Absolutely. What other century-old crimes intrigue you?
I want to write about Edgar Allan Poe, and he's in your neck of the woods.
Yes, definitely. Being from Baltimore, we're big Poe addicts here.
There are actually quite a few similarities between Poe's story and him being mad and him being all sorts of other accusations.
And he definitely died under mysterious circumstances.
Yeah. And there's also like a parallel to someone profiting off his death, like Gauguin in Griswold. So there's the same kind of intrigue. I'm somewhat interested in Jack the Ripper. I have looked into it.
Would you have a different take on it? There's all kinds of interesting theories.
I read somewhere that someone thought he was an artist.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I thought that was absurd. I think he does have some medical training.
He would, or a butcher.
Yeah, he was part of a family where his father perhaps had medical training. The extraordinary slicing of bodies and sort of cutting them open, that's not conventional. So I think that has something to do with possibly a child being fascinated by seeing something like an autopsy and then that coming back as he gets older and it becoming a kind of sadistic streak and a fantasy. Something like that. And then I guess the Galapagos affair from the 1930s, that's something that I'd be interested in looking at. I also think that's seen as very mysterious when it's not that mysterious. I think when you put the timelines together, in the same way that you get a version of the events from Gauguin through his autobiography and through his friend Bernard writing a new story about it. You might not think that's there over a century later, but it is. In these particular cases, that information is there. You just got to find it. And the fact that that the people involved in the Galapagos affair also wrote books, and it was also in the newspapers, also means the people involved gave a version of what happened. And you just use the same true crime techniques to look at what's being said and to what extent it just makes sense or to what extent it may be self-serving.
Well, whether it's mysterious or not, it's one of the oddest stories I've ever heard.
Yes. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely is a strange one, yeah.
Now, do you have any new books coming out or events you'd like to promote?
I've just published Treachery 2 on the Casey Anthony case. I'm about to publish a book called Two-Face on the Chris Watts case. You guys know about the Chris Watts case?
No. What is that?
Crime that happened in Colorado on August 13th. Husband.
Oh, that's the new case where the husband killed his wife and 2 children.
Yeah, well, according to him, she killed the children.
Yes.
He killed her. Yeah, so I'm kind of working as fast as I can, try and be the first person to bring out a sort of a cogent story there. I think everybody's saying why. Everyone's sort of got no idea why he would do it, and I feel like I've got quite a strong handle on motive. Of course, it's very, very early days. I've just written a chapter on his backstory, and there's very little information out. Having said that, there's also a surprisingly large amount of information. For example, when you go and look on Google Earth to Vass Road where he grew up, it's a very, very poor neighborhood. And if you compare that to where he was living when his wife was murdered, it's like chalk and cheese.
Very interesting.
I don't think that house belonged to him either. And I don't think that was his home. It wasn't his money. And I think he kind of wanted it. I think he wanted a way out of. I think he was just tired of poverty.
Right.
I think that was part of it.
I'll look forward to reading that.
We will update all of our show notes with Mr. Van der Leek's information so you can check out all of his. And yes, please play that clip. I'm very interested.
Okay, here we go.
But there's something about Van Gogh's legacy which is much more important than his fathering this or that ism of modern art. Vincent's passionate belief was that people wouldn't just see his pictures, but feel the rush of life in them. That by the force of his brush and the dazzlement of his colour, they'd experience those fields, those faces, those flowers, in ways nothing more polite or literal could ever possibly convey. His art would reclaim what had once belonged to religion, consolation for our mortality through the relish of the gift of life. It wasn't the art crowd he was after. What he wanted was to open the eyes and the hearts of everyone who saw his paintings. Well, he got what he wanted.
Of most people, a non-entity, an eccentric, an unpleasant person, somebody who has no position in society and never will. In short, the lowest of the low. All right then, well, even if that were all absolutely true, then one day I should like to show by my work what such a non-entity, such a nobody, has in his heart. With a handshake. Ever yours, Vincent.
Nick has graciously offered to give one of our listeners a book if they can answer a question he's going to pose.
Okay, somewhere in the podcast I mentioned that Gauguin went to a tropical island somewhere. I mentioned the name of that island. So if you can remember that name or you want to listen to the podcast again, then I'll be giving a book away to whoever answers that.
Email your answer to darkandstormybookclub@gmail.com. We will have a drawing and select a winner. We're going to wrap this up now, and we thank you so much for agreeing to be on our show, and we look forward to all your future books. If they're anything like The Murder of Vincent Van Gogh, I will devour it because it was amazing.
Thanks very much for your time, Tracy and Anne. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was great.
Yes.
It sure was. I was very happy to hear all of his theories and all of his insights into Vincent Van Gogh and Gauguin.
Boy, he paints Gauguin as a